Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the hidden meanings behind those massive corporate filings. And today, oh boy, do we have a juicy one for you. We are diving into the Grayscale Bitcoin Cash Trust's latest report to see what is really going on under the hood. If you're new here and love getting straight talking insights from SEC filings without all the corporate jargon, make sure you're subscribed and join our Discord community, linked in the description below. So, what is the big deal here? Well, it seems like Grayscale is shaking things up with their Bitcoin Cash Trust, making some new deals behind the scenes that could change how your investments are handled. The main event in this filing is the announcement of a new prime broker agreement. Think of a prime broker as a super important bank for investment funds. They handle a lot of the heavy lifting, like trading, holding assets, and making sure everything runs smoothly. This agreement is with Coinbase Inc., and it looks like it is designed to upgrade how Grayscale's Bitcoin Cash Trust, or BCH, is managed. It is not just a simple handshake, though it involves a few other Coinbase companies like Coinbase Custody Trust Company, LLC, which will act as the custodian, and Coinbase Credit, Incorporated. Together, they are referred to as the Coinbase entities. Now here is a critical detail: this whole new agreement won't actually kick in until the trust shares start trading on NYSE Arca as an exchange. Traded product. They call this the uplisting date. So, while it is signed now, it is like a contract waiting for a specific event to become active. This suggests Grayscale has plans to make their Bitcoin Cash Trust more accessible and tradable on a major exchange, which is a pretty big step. Let's talk about where your Bitcoin Cash, or BCH, is going to be stashed. The agreement sets up two main places. First, there is the vault balance. This is where most of the trust's BCH will be held by Coinbase custody. They'll be keeping the digital keys that control your BCH offline, which they call cold storage. This is like putting your most valuable assets in a super secure vault away from the internet, making it much harder for hackers to get to. The trust's vault balance will be held by the custodian in segregated wallets or accounts. The custodian will keep all of the private keys associated with the trust's BCH held in the vault balance in an offline manner. They even mention cold storage as a safeguarding method where the private keys are kept on non-networked computers or electronic devices or stored on a storage device. It is all about protecting those keys really well. Then there is the settlement balance. This is a smaller amount of BCH that the sponsor, Grayscale Investment Sponsors, LLC, can choose to keep with the prime broker Coinbase. This stash is for quick transactions, like when new shares of the trust are created or redeemed. This balance might be held in a mix of cold storage, hot storage, or with third-party partners of Coinbase. Hot storage is mentioned as being more accessible for faster transactions, but also potentially more vulnerable. It is a trade-off between speed and security for that portion. The report goes into detail about what cold storage means. It is a safeguarding method where the storage of private keys may involve keeping such keys materials on a non-networked computer or electronic device, or storing the private keys on a storage device. Cold storage is a safeguarding method with multiple layers of protections and protocols by which the private keys corresponding to the trust BCH are generated and stored in an offline manner. And hot storage is described as the safeguarding method by which the private keys are held online, where they are more accessible, leading to more efficient transfers, though they are potentially more vulnerable to theft, loss, or damage. So you can see they are really trying to be transparent about their security measures. A really interesting security feature mentioned is that private key shards, which are like puzzle pieces of the digital key, are spread out geographically in secure vaults around the world. This means even if one vault is compromised, they still have the other pieces to access the BCH. It sounds like they are building a fortress. An important point is that Coinbase Custody will act as a fiduciary and custodian for the BCH in the vault balance. This means they have a legal and ethical duty to act in the best interest of the trust. They are represented as having no right or claim to this BCH, and it will not be treated as their own assets. The same goes for the BCH in the settlement balance. It is held for the benefit of the trust and not considered the property of Coinbase. They are even taking steps to have digital assets treated as financial assets under a part of New York law called Article 8 of the Uniform Commercial Code. While courts haven't T-ruled on this for digital assets yet, Coinbase believes this treatment would prevent custodied digital assets from being considered part of their general company assets if they ever faced financial trouble. Regarding safekeeping, all BCH in the vault balance will be kept segregated, clearly identified as belonging to the trust and not mixed with other assets. The private keys for these will be kept secure, and they won't be disclosed in a way that would require Grayscale itself to get a special license to hold crypto for others. BCH in the settlement balance might be mixed with other assets in what they call omnibus wallets, but the prime broker will keep a clear record of what belongs to the trust. Now, about insurance, the custodian is required to have commercially reasonable insurance. Coinbase has stated they have fidelity or crime insurance that covers theft, including by their own employees. However, they also note that the total value of crypto assets they hold is significantly greater than their insurance coverage. So, while there is insurance, it might not cover every single potential loss. They also mention capital reserves that might help, but the trust doesn't have full visibility into their amounts. This is a bit of a standard disclaimer in the crypto world, but it is worth noting. The agreement covers how BCH will be deposited, withdrawn, and transferred between these balances. Coinbase can refuse or cancel transactions if required by law or if they suspect a violation of any rules. They can also suspend access or close accounts if the trust or sponsor does something that violates the agreement, or if ordered by a court. They are really doubling down on security. All digital asset private keys are stored securely, either on servers or offline in cold storage. They have information security programs to protect against unauthorized access. If there is a data breach, they promise to notify the trust and sponsor promptly. The process for generating these digital keys sounds very high-tech. It involves secret key generation ceremonies in secure locations, using special equipment to block outside interference, and quantum random number generators for randomness. After keys are generated, all materials used are destroyed. All ceremonies are done offline, and only Coinbase has access to these key shards. As mentioned, these private key shards are distributed globally in secure vaults. The vault balance mostly uses cold storage for safety, while a part of the settlement balance might use hot storage for speed. To move BCH in or out of these holdings, there are strict security steps, including multiple encrypted private key shards, usernames, passwords, and two-factor authentication. The idea here is to remove any single point of failure. If one vault is compromised, the others are still secure, potentially causing a delay but not a loss of assets. The custodian will keep detailed records for at least 7 years, and will allow the trust or its representatives to inspect and audit these records with proper notice. They are also required to notify Grayscale if any audit report reveals significant problems. Grayscale says they conduct annual reviews of SUSI reports, which basically are audits of a service provider's controls and security. They can also perform their own checks, like verifying balances against blockchain data and testing software. Coinbase is liable for lost BCH if it is due to their negligence, fraud, or willful misconduct. If that happens, they have to return the lost BCH. However, there are limits to their total liability. For the custodial entities, the maximum payout is capped at the greater of the value of the BCH involved. The fees paid over the last 12 months, or $5 million US. For the custodian specifically, the liability related to each cold storage address is capped at $100 million US. If the value in a cold storage address exceeds this, Grayscale wouldn't have a claim against the custodian for the amount above that cap. They also explicitly state they are not liable for special, indirect, or consequential damages, or for things outside their control like natural disasters. Both Grayscale and Coinbase agree to protect each other from certain claims and losses, with standard exceptions. Grayscale will pay Coinbase an annual fee based on the trust's assets under custody. There will also be monthly fees for transactions related to creating and redeeming shares. The agreement lasts until terminated by either party. Termination requires a notice period, and Coinbase has to keep providing services until that period ends, unless there is a serious reason for immediate termination. The trust can terminate with 30 days notice, or immediately for specific serious issues with the custodian. Coinbase can terminate with 180 days notice, or immediately for serious issues on their end. If either party terminates without a serious reason, Coinbase will help transfer the assets afterward. Separately, Grayscale has also engaged Bandai Mellon Asset Servicing to handle fund administration and accounting services. This agreement became effective on the 9th of October. This is a pretty standard arrangement for a fund, so nothing too out of the ordinary here, but it is good to see they are beefing up their back office operations. Finally, as part of bringing Coinbase on board, Grayscale is terminating its previous custodian agreement. This means Coinbase custody is essentially taking over all custodian duties from the old provider. So, what does this all mean? Grayscale is clearly making a strategic move to partner with a major player like Coinbase to manage their Bitcoin Cash Trust. The move towards NICE ARCA listing and using Coinbase's robust infrastructure suggests a plan to increase the Trust's visibility, liquidity, and trustworthiness. The emphasis on cold storage, geographically distributed key shards, and sophisticated security procedures indicates a serious effort to secure the assets. However, there are always risks. The insurance coverage, while present, has limitations, and the cap on liability for cold storage addresses is something investors should be aware of. If the value of BCH in a cold storage address goes over $100 million, the trust might not be fully covered by the custodian for amounts exceeding that. This is a critical detail for anyone holding a substantial amount of this trust. Overall, this filing shows Grayscale is actively working to enhance its offerings and solidify its position in the crypto investment space. The partnership with Coinbase is a significant step, aiming to provide a more secure and accessible platform for Bitcoin Cash investment. The success will hinge on the smooth execution of the uplisting and the continued reliability of the custodial services. It signals a strong belief in the future of Bitcoin Cash and a commitment to providing institutional, grade solutions for investors. Alright, that is our breakdown of Grayscale Bitcoin Cash Trust's latest filing. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Do you think this partnership with Coinbase will boost investor confidence? Drop your thoughts in the comments if this analysis was valuable. Hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description for more exclusive content and discussions. Thanks for watching. See you next time.